The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
A Port of Spain woman was treated for a gunshot wound she received in a shooting in East Port of Spain on Thursday night. Police said the 39-year-old woman, who was with her husband in a van parked on Observatory Street near Harp Place at around 7:05 p.m., when they were ambushed by unknown assailants who opened fire at them. The woman was hit once in her right arm. The man drove to the Port of Spain General Hospital. Members of the Port of Spain task force went to the area in search of the assailants, but did not find anyone. Port of Spain CID are continuing inquiries. Trinidad and Tobago's LGBTQI activist Brandy Rodriguez has died. Human rights activist Brandy Rodriguez, a trans woman who is known for her work to support the trans community and advance LGBTQI rights in TNT, has died. A release from the Family Planning Association, where Rodriguez worked as a peer navigator, described her as a big sister who was passionate in her fight for the rights of LGBTQI people in Trinidad and Tobago. Brandi fought fearlessly against discrimination, and in this fight, she didn't just ask for recognition or plead for equal access to quality health care, but she made the point that it was a right that must come without conditions. She was determined to settle for nothing less. Brandi wasn't just a bright light, she blazed. She transformed. She gave us all focus and purpose. She made the world sit up and take notice, and now she has transcended, the release said. Feminist civil society organization CASO, Sex and Gender Justice, also paid tribute to Rodriguez in a release on Thursday. We at CASO honor her work and continue the struggle against stigma and discrimination that she fought courageously to end. We celebrate the life and legacy of our sister and comrade Brandy Rodriguez, and we honor her passion and dedication to human rights and sex and gender justice. Rodriguez, who served as the president of the TT Transgender Coalition, was recognized by Queen Elizabeth II in May when she was awarded the 180th Commonwealth Point of Light. She was the second transgender advocate in the Commonwealth to receive this award. Tributes poured in on social media after the news of her death. British High Commissioner to TT, Harriet Cross, said on her Twitter post, "I am incredibly sad to hear that Brandy Rodriguez has died. The Queen recognized Brandy's exceptional service supporting the trans community and LGBTQ+ rights with a Commonwealth Point of Light Award. Brandy was royalty, and I'm proud to have known her." One person said, shocked and saddened to hear of the untimely passing of Trinbagonian LGBTQ activist Brandy Rodriguez. Brandi has been a pillar of our community for decades and made huge strides in the fight for equality and freedom for LGBTQ+ citizens. Her fight for trans rights and her indomitable spirit will never be forgotten nor replaced. She truly was one of a kind. Rest in peace, Brandi. Another person said, awakened and saddened by the news of the sudden passing of a very dear friend, human rights defender, and trans advocate out of TT, Brandy Rodriguez. One post on Rodriguez's page alleged she died from COVID-19 complications, but there has been no official statement on her cause of death. Judge Seepersad delivers scathing speech about the conduct of some lawyers and politicians within our society. A High Court judge has criticized the conduct of some lawyers and politicians, saying they are widely seen as untrustworthy exploiters who create their own narrative of truth. Speaking at a seminar on the relevance of Gandhi in a contemporary world at the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Cultural Cooperation on Thursday, Justice Frank Seepersad said Gandhi has left lingering lessons which still need to be learnt by lawyers and leaders. As we look at our society, truthfulness is evidently an elusive concept. There now exists very real alternate realities, the judge said. Seepersad charged that far too often important decisions are effected without any regard for accountability. Here in our island republic, recent events relating to the appointment of a commissioner of police have raised in the minds of many citizens a desire to ascertain the truth as to what transpired, and many feel that the various public officials who may have been involved in the situation which ensued should elect to exercise satyagraha, clarify the events which unfolded, and exercise ownership over any inappropriate exercise of discretion or constitutional overreach which may have occurred. While it is said that during his years of practice, Gandhi never deceived a judge, Seepersad remarked, "Oh, how I do wish for lawyers such as him in my court." Sadly, he said, many lawyers forget that their primary duty is to the court, not their client, and the Gandhian example of uncompromising honesty and integrity needs to be emulated by members of the legal profession. Noting that leaders could learn a lot from Gandhi's strategies, he said, "Very often leaders are tone deaf as they myopically spin narratives crafted to resonate with their supporters while they make other citizens feel disenfranchised and distant. In their quest for political dominance, many leaders often fail to take into account the needs of regular citizens and those considered as opponents. The current destructive and divisive atmosphere which exists among our leaders has to be rectified, as it is not possible for the people's business to be meaningfully engaged in an antagonistic environment characterized by vitriol and dysfunction." Pointing out that compromise was another significant attribute Gandhi displayed, Seepersad said, "At this present time there is a worrying level of polarization among national leaders. This can easily filter down to the citizenry and catalyze behavior, which is destabilizing." Seepersad added that the current entrenched level of inflexibility in the approach to lawmaking is also a regrettable circumstance. He added, "As we look at our society, there seems to be little room for or willingness to engage in compromise, and in our tiny island there now exists an unacceptable degree of intolerance. Within the legal profession, compromise is not actively pursued, presumably in an attempt to pursue more lucrative and multi-layered litigation." He said too many lawyers now pursue payment and compromise positions of principle, and too many leaders change their positions on a constant basis. Consequently, the needs, goals, entitlements, and aspirations of the people are often sacrificed in the halls of courtrooms or at the altar of political expediency. President Weeks nominates fifth and final candidate to the Police Service Commission. President Paula May Weeks has nominated a fifth and final member to the Police Service Commission. In a press release issued yesterday afternoon, the Office of the President announced that President Weeks nominated attorney Rajiv Prasad to the commission after consulting with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and opposition leader Kamla Persad Bissessar on October 25. There are now 5 nominations before the Clerk of the House of Representatives, the release said. Like with the 4 other recent nominations by the President, the release noted that the nomination letter was delivered to both Rowley and Persad Bissessar, with only Rowley responding. Persad, a former temporary High Court judge and former Deputy Chairman of the Integrity Commission, currently serves as Vice President of the Law Association. The move to appoint new members of the Commission comes as 4 members, including former Chairman Bliss Seepersad, resigned following the controversy surrounding the Commission's short-lived suspension of former Acting Police Commissioner Gary Griffith. The other former members of the Commission were Roger Kowal Singh, Courtney McNeish, and Dr. Suzanne Craig James. Seepersad and the other nominees, retired appellate judge Judith Jones, leadership and management consultant Maxine Atong, chartered accountant Maxine King, criminologist and academic head of the Caribbean Institute for Security and Public Safety Ian Ramdhani, will have to be debated and approved by the Parliament before they can be officially appointed. Once the process is completed, they can then begin work on appointing a new acting police commissioner before going through the recruitment process for the substantive post. Seepersad Bisesar, who piloted a failed impeachment move against President Weeks last week, has declined to participate in the consultation process for nominations to the Commission until issues over the collapse of the former Commission and its alleged withdrawal of a list of candidates for the acting police commissioner post in August are cleared up. Seepersad Bisesar has also raised questions over an alleged meeting between a senior government official, Seepersad, and the president before the list was allegedly withdrawn and Griffith was given the acting appointment. Seepersad Bisesar previously objected to the nomination of senior counsel Ernest Colas to the commission over his alleged ties to the People's National Movement (PNM). Both Rowley and Weeks have issued public statements on the issue and have denied any wrongdoing. Cops freed on assault charges of Pundits assistant after 15 years. 15 years after two police officers were charged with assaulting a Pundit assistant, they have been set free. Justice Norton Jack permanently stayed the criminal proceedings against Constables Dennis Suknanan, 46, and Brian Ramhajan after an application was filed by their attorneys. The alleged victim is now deceased. The charge against the officers stemmed from an incident on August 4, 2006, in which it is alleged that Rabindranath Chun was riding his bicycle along Akbar Trace, Faizabad, when he was stopped by police officers Suknanan and Ramhajan. Chun alleged that the officers assaulted him and then put him in the police vehicle and drove to the Orapuchi police station where he was again assaulted. Suknanan and Ramhajan were subsequently charged on August 30, 2006 with assaulting Chun, occasioning actual bodily harm. Following a preliminary inquiry at the Superior Magistrates Court, the officers who were last attached to the Southwestern Division were committed to stand trial on July 6, 2009. 3 years later, the indictment against them was filed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, but Chun also died that year. However, Suknanan's attorneys Michael Ruplal and Vishan Gurwa filed an application to have the proceedings against him stayed. Ramhajan's attorney, Kevin Ratiram, joined in the application. Ruplal, in his submissions, pointed to the delay in the matter, and as Chun is deceased, the court and the jury would be deprived of hearing or seeing Chun at trial. He also argued that the defense would not have an opportunity to cross-examine Chun. Ruplal submitted that at the committal proceedings at the magistrate's court, the defense was restricted in its cross-examination because the prosecution had failed to make full disclosure. He said that forms and other documents in relation to the identification parades involving Suknanan were not disclosed and had resulted in incurable prejudice to his client. In his oral ruling via virtual hearing on Monday, the judge ordered that the indictments of the officers be stayed permanently and ordered their discharge. The state was represented by attorney Charmaine Samuel.